Hello everyone and welcome. Have you ever felt like you're talking to a wall when you pray? You pour out your heart, you cry out in pain, you plead for an answer, but all you get back is silence. It's a heavy, confusing silence, isn't it? You start to wonder, God, are you even listening? Do you care about what's happening to me, to my family, to this world? This feeling, this experience of God's silence is one of the most difficult challenges in a person's spiritual journey. It can make you feel abandoned, forgotten, and even lead you to doubt His very existence or His goodness. You might look around at all the injustice, the suffering, the chaos, and your prayers for intervention seem to go unanswered. It's a deeply unsettling place to be. If you've ever felt this way, please know you are not alone. This isn't a new problem. It's a profound, ancient struggle that people of faith have wrestled with for thousands of years. And today, we're going to dive into this very topic, not to offer easy answers, but to find hope and understanding right in the middle of that silence. We'll explore it through the eyes of someone who is right where you might be, a prophet who is unafraid to shout his questions into the void and demand an answer from God. This prophet's name is Habakkuk. He's not one of the most famous prophets, but his story is incredibly powerful and relevant for us today. Habakkuk lived in a time of intense social and political turmoil. He looked at his nation, Judah, and saw wickedness everywhere. The law was paralyzed, justice was perverted, the righteous were surrounded by the wicked, and violence and destruction were rampant. It was a mess. And Habakkuk did what any faithful person would do. He prayed. He cried out to God, but his book opens with a raw, desperate complaint. He asks, "O Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not hear, or cry to you violence, and you will not save?" He's essentially saying, God, I see all this evil. I've been praying about it, screaming about it, and you're doing nothing. How long do I have to watch this happen? He doesn't hold back. He's honest, he's raw, and he's frustrated. This isn't a polite, carefully worded prayer. It's a cry from the depths of his soul. He feels unheard and unseen. He feels that God is inactive, indifferent, silent in the face of overwhelming evil. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you look at the world, or even your own life, and you ask the same questions. God, where are you in this pandemic? Where are you in this political division? Where are you in my financial struggle, my health crisis, my broken relationship? Habakkuk gives us permission to be honest with God. He shows us that faith isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about bringing our real, messy, painful questions directly to the one who can handle them. He stands on his watchtower, determined to wait and see what God will say to him. He doesn't just complain and walk away. He complains and then he waits, expecting an answer. And that's the crucial first step, to voice our pain and then to position ourselves to listen. So what happens next? Does God remain silent? No, God answers Habakkuk. But the answer is not what he expected or wanted to hear. God says, "Look among the nations and see. Wonder and be astounded. For I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told." This sounds good at first, right? God is working. But then God reveals what he is doing. He says he is raising up the Babylonians, a ruthless, terrifying, and wicked nation to judge Judah. This is shocking. Habakkuk was complaining about the wickedness within his own people. And God's solution is to use an even more wicked nation to punish them? This makes no sense to Habakkuk. It seems to compound the problem. It's like complaining about a leaky faucet and being told the solution is to flood the house. Habakkuk is thrown into a second, deeper crisis of faith. He responds, "Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrong. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves?" He's basically saying, God, I thought I knew you. I thought you were just and holy. How can you use evil to accomplish your purposes? This doesn't align with your character. This reveals a profound truth about God's silence. Often, when we think God is doing nothing, He is actually doing something so vast, so counterintuitive, so beyond our human comprehension that we can't see it or understand it. His work is happening behind the scenes, on a scale we can't grasp. He's not inactive. His ways are just not our ways. Think about the story of Joseph. His brothers sold him into slavery. From his perspective in the pit or in prison, it must have felt like God was silent, that He had abandoned him. But God was weaving a grand tapestry of redemption, positioning Joseph to save an entire nation from famine. Or think about the cross. To the disciples, the crucifixion of Jesus was the ultimate silence of God, the ultimate defeat. Their hope was dead. But in that very act, God was accomplishing the greatest work in all of history, the salvation of the world. So when God seems silent, it's not necessarily a sign of His absence or inaction. It could be a sign that He is working in ways that are too big for us to see at the moment. He is orchestrating events, moving hearts, and setting things in motion according to His sovereign plan and perfect timing. So faced with this confusing reality that God is working, but in ways we don't understand, what is our correct response? How do we live in this tension between God's perceived silence and His promised action? God gives Habakkuk the answer, and it becomes one of the most foundational verses in the entire Bible. He says, "Behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright within him, but the righteous shall live by his faith." Live by faith. That's the answer. It's not about having all the explanations. It's not about understanding God's cosmic blueprint. It's about trust. It's a choice to believe in God's character, His goodness, His sovereignty, His justice, even when His actions or His silence seem to contradict it. Living by faith means we stop demanding that God explain Himself to us on our terms. It means we release our need for control and understanding, and instead, we rest in who we know Him to be. For Habakkuk, this was a journey. He started with complaint, moved to a deeper questioning, and finally landed in a place of profound faith. The book ends not with all his questions answered, but with a beautiful declaration of trust. He says, "Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation." He's saying, even if my worst fears come true, even if everything falls apart and I lose everything, my joy isn't based on my circumstances. My joy is based on God Himself. That is what it means to live by faith. It's a joy that is unshakable because it's rooted not in our situation, but in our Savior. So, as we wrap this up, what can we take away from Habakkuk's story? When you find yourself in a season of God's silence, remember you're not alone. Remember, it's okay to ask the hard questions. Cry out to God, be honest with Him. But then, like Habakkuk, stand on your watchtower. Wait, listen. Remind yourself that His silence is not absence. He is working. His plans are bigger than your perspective. And finally, make the conscious choice to live by faith. Shift your focus from your problems to your provider. Find your joy not in the resolution of your circumstances, but in the reality of your relationship with God. He is your strength. He is your salvation. He is faithful, even when you can't see or hear Him. Trust in Him. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this has been an encouragement to you. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. May you find your strength and joy in the Lord, especially in the silent seasons. God bless.